Good morning. This is Augmentatio Septimana, and this is Low. This week I want to talk about failure because it's been like a couple months, and I was working on this one video, Sonoluminescence, and I just kept failing. Everything was so hard. Everything, the editing, the idea, building out the script, reading it. It's like I was aiming for perfection. I kept trying and trying to make it as good as possible. But I heard this quote and it was like, perfection is procrastination disguised as quality control. And I realized there that I was aiming at something that was unattainable. I was not settling for good. I was aiming for something that was going to keep it indefinite, that was going to keep it undone. I think perfection can be the enemy of good, the enemy of finished. And I just chose to finish it. I chose to learn as much editing as possible to make it as close to the vision in my mind that I had and just to be done with it. Now, failure is important. Failure is the feedback. Failure teaches you your current limitations, where you need to learn more skills, and a lot of it challenged me to create and learn more, and I'm grateful for it. And that's why failure is such a key. See, failure is feedback. Failure shows you where you lack and where you can gain. Failure, mistakes give you ground on which to stand. I used to think that failure was an indication of my inability, my my inability in general, not my current inability. I thought that was my literal inability. But now I realize that failure is the beginning of learning. By failing, you are doing something you've never done. By failing, you are pushing somewhere you've never been. And this applies to everything, whether you're creating, whether you're trying to work out, whether you're trying to do a new exercise or run or start a new habit or quit. It's all failure. And failing is a good indication that you're doing something that is hard, that is difficult. And difficult things come with failure, but that doesn't mean that it's not worthy. It's not worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it to try and to fail. And people don't like the word try, but try comes from trial, and you were going through these trials, these tests to see where you're at. So every time we come to these places where it seems like you're unable to do something, just understand that that is you being frustrated with the current state of your ability, and that can be defeating in a way. You might think that's the end, but that is the beginning. There's a quote by Napoleon Hill, and he says that within each failure, there is a seed of success. Now, for me, I find that to be a gift. It's like I know what I am able to do, I know what I want to do, and now I need to bridge the gap between what I'm able to do and what I want to do. And that doesn't matter what in which domain you want to go. Like I said, with the video editing, with the ideas, with pushing yourself to write more, with pushing yourself to put something out, we have this fear. Well, I have this fear, and it is that I will finish it and it will be not worth it. And that is a destructive thought. It's like it's the one of the worst thoughts, because anything you do is worth it once it's done. Anything you do is worth it even while you're doing it. The process is as valuable as the product. Whatever you're doing is as valuable as what you produce. And for me, that's been fundamental. And this shift has been kind of uh, hard. It's been very hard, not kind of hard, very hard, because it takes a lot of swallowing pride, a lot of moving through these weird mindsets of thinking that it's not good enough or that you'll never have it. That this stuff is hard just to be hard. And it is hard, but it's not hard for no reason. It's hard because, again, you're doing something different than you've ever done. And this past few months, this past year, has been a lot of learning, a lot of failing, so much failing. But through each failure, I find that everything seems a little better. I mean, you just get slowly, incrementally better at things. And this is all subjective, obviously. It's all dependent on your goals or what I want to do. But I feel like this can apply to anything. It can apply to being successful in a business, being successful in creating, being successful in a family. You fail, and if you keep holding on to that failure as if that is your finished product, then I don't think you could exceed that. But you can exceed that. You can go beyond that once you realize that the failure is a lesson. The failure is trying to teach you something. And it's teaching you that maybe you're not where you thought you were. And maybe the thing that you want is harder than you thought it was going to be. And for me, that used to be a stopping point. That used to be where I just stopped. Because I was like, okay, well, I'm not good at drawing, so how could I draw? Or I'm not good at making videos, so how can I make a video? But I feel like this is just slow and incremental, and each of these steps that it takes to make mistakes and to put the reps in and put out the quantity and slowly increase the quality, this can give us what we want. Now, there's a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. It's Bhagavad Gita 1848. Natural duty, even though fraught with defect, should not be abandoned. For all undertakings are covered with defect, like fire by smoke. And that idea I condensed into a smaller phrase that is a mantra that I try to keep in mind. And I'll tell you the truth, when things are going off and I'm fighting with whatever I'm fighting with, it's sometimes hard to keep that all in mind. So the mantra I have is mistakes are to action as smoke is to fire. So that is how I push through failure. Because failure, like I said, is just an indicator. It just tells you, like, hey, you're not where you thought you were, but you can get there. It's just going to take a little more time, a little more effort, a little more learning, maybe a lot more. I don't know. Sometimes we desire things that are beyond our skill set, our current skill set. And like I said, this is all about being current and being future oriented. Because right now, I don't know everything I need to know in order to do everything I want to do. So undoubtedly, I'm going to fail. And I'm going to have to make mistakes to learn on my own. I could read all the books in the world. I could listen to every video. But until I start doing what I want to do, I won't know where those limitations, my current limitations are. And if I don't know where the current limitations are, then I don't know what skills I need to learn in order to go beyond my current limitation. And like I said, failure is a necessary part of all learning. Experiments have failure, art has failure. Um, I'm sure there's failure in everything. In day to day life, you can want to say something and not speak precisely and then go, why? Why did I do that? It's because you're just learning. We're just all learning here. We're all novices in life, I guess. Maybe not all of us. There are very wise people in the world who have done a lot. But there's another quote, and it's a successful man has failed more than an average man has ever tried. And that's something that keeps me grounded, because if it is necessary for me to fail, I want to make sure that I'm failing better. I fail better. And as I fail better, I feel better. Because when I'm failing better, I'm taking each failure as a lesson, as something to learn from, and not something to stop me from going forward. So for failure, this is one of the grounds of learning anything. It is everything we need to do in order to do anything we want to do. And whether, like I said, this it reaches to all domains. And even in this video, I'm stumbling and I don't speak clearly because the idea has just been rattling around my mind. And normally I write things out on paper, but this I didn't write out. This is just ingrained in me, and I just feel it. It's like a felt thing. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that each thing that has s- slowed me down has made me leap forward. There's a quote. I know I love quotes, right? There's a quote, and it's a French quote, and it's a reculer pour mieux sauter. And I'm probably not pronouncing it right. I said this to a French guy once in an Uber, and he couldn't understand what I was saying, so I had to repeat it like 4 times. So I'm probably not pronouncing it right. And but reculer pour mieux sauter means to step back to leap forward. So sometimes when you fail, we just have to step back, get perspective on the situation, whatever it is, and realize that the gap, wherever the gap is, and the gap is in things we don't know yet. And if we stop there, if I stop there, then then you'll never know what that thing was for you, because I think it's very individual. Because it could be something as simple as I'm not letting myself get into a state where I could create something, or I'm not giving myself the time to do what I need to do, or it's a skill issue. And it could be a variety of things. It could just be that I didn't clean the dishes this morning, and now it's messing with my mind, and for some reason, it's messing with what I'm doing, and this is all a part of the dance of life. So, this is failure, and I, as I make more things, I go back and I look at my old videos, and I see progression in the failure. Well, and maybe not everybody perceives things as failures like I do because it's me. But I look at it and I go, okay, I could have done better here, here, and here. So I'm evaluating. I'm constantly evaluating what I've done and what I'm going to do. And I'm always reaching towards a future goal where I know right now I do not currently have everything I need to do what I want to do. And this is a huge reality check, really. It's a reality. Reality is if you want to lift up 300 pounds, first you'll have to lift up two. And then you have to incrementally build yourself up to lifting up more and more weight. Same thing with creating. If you want to make something, you have to make small things, very small things, and then keep making small things. You just do that over and over. Evaluate what you did, um, keep notes, journals, writing. This helps. And for anyone who struggles with failure or a fear of failure, don't be afraid of it. It's going to happen. The degree to which you fail is the degree to which you give yourself the faith in your ability to do more. So, of course, I'll fail miserably probably sometimes. Like I feel like the last four weeks or a couple months have been almost a failure. And I say almost because I feel like I progressed in some way. But as that happened, as I pushed beyond that, now I realize that all the things I perceived as failures in the moment are now what helped me to push further into a new world for all intents and purposes. So don't be afraid to fail. It's going to happen. You will fail. I will fail. We'll fail in small ways, maybe large ways sometimes. But I really believe as long as we're alive, we can learn, we can grow, and we can move beyond these perceived failures. And as as hard as it is necessary. So I I learn now to fail better, and I fail better to feel better. So hope you guys have a good weekend. This is Lo, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.